Joero Ssenyonyi ono twamufunanga kirabo eno parliament ajja kugitereza twali twamusubwadda yali yayononeka nga bali mu byabwe bali mu byakwegabira nsimbi naye okuva yawe bwaloopu olaba nga tulina olugendo tugendako ate nga lukwasiza maanyi kati nekiri eno kisa kinegula kansooke nkutwaleyo omwalabireko omwana wattu ensonga bwazitembeeta nanti Joero bisekezi simwangu ensonga agikwata bwati n'agiteeka wano n'agikuba mu mutwe n'ogiwuliriza kale.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable, I'm glad you talked about the issue of brutalizing the traders. It's important that we call government to order. Let's not treat these traders like they are terrorists. In the past, we've had issues with KCCA, the way it interfaces with traders with a very totalitarian hand. It's not acceptable. Yeah, you have a duty, that's important. The traders have got a duty, but they're still citizens. Let's treat them as such. When we mete out a lot of violence against them, then there gets to be a pushback, which is unnecessary. And I'm glad you addressed that matter. Right Honourable, as I did inform you last week, traders came to interact with myself and a couple of members of parliament, and they had critical concerns. And I want to appreciate the minister. Not many people have appreciated you for your statement. I want to appreciate you because for starters, you took time to meet the traders. I'm glad that meeting did happen. Never mind that you're not agreeing. This is a start, and hopefully you have something to get to a meeting of minds because that's what as far as the traders are concerned. One of the concerns the traders did have was the question of service delivery, and they put it to us and our colleagues who I was with. And they were saying, for starters, we pay access, but there is poor service delivery. They told us when they go to hospital, it's not medicine. When they're sick, they've got to go to private hospitals. Their children, they take them to private schools. The road, the tracks, rates, and they have to go there because they're saying, wait, I have value for this money. That's what the people of Uganda generally. They're saying they want access, and let there be value for this tax money. Two, again raised by these traders. They told us they are bad when they see how their tax money is used or misused. And they told us if we can be serious about fighting corruption, there will be a lot more money available for service. That will not be pressing them so hard. Honourable Speaker, the Inspectorate of Government, which reports to this House, produced a report which said on an annual basis we lose over 10 trillion shillings to corruption. That's a lot of money. Think about what it can do. And so the traders and the people of Uganda are saying there should be value for this tax money. And that's why they are struggling. They're saying, but wait a minute, this money we pay, there's no service delivery, it is stolen. And so there's a real struggle. And that's why you struggle to engage with them because of these issues. Tax waivers. You see, any jurisdiction has got to have a modus operandi for tax waivers. We need to clarify that for ourselves. Yeah. There's a proposal which is before the Finance Committee by the Ministry of Finance. There are particular businesses which they are seeking to waive taxes for. And some of the reasons being given are ill health of the proprietors of these businesses to indebtedness of the businesses. The traders are asking, who is not indebted? Those traders, they go to banks, they get loans, and that's why they're up in arms. Their businesses are crumbling, just like many other Ugandans. And so again, I would like to reiterate what colleagues are saying. Can we have that list so that we know who is qualifying and the proper modus operandi? Because if you're saying this business is heavily indebted, let's salvage it. There are several other businesses that are heavily indebted. How are we extending help to them? The other concern that the traders do have, which has been mentioned here, foreign investors. We do need foreign investors as a country, and we should be able to welcome them. But you see, as we are welcoming them, we are granting them tax holidays. We give them free land. Of late, we are even guaranteeing them money. So all of these incentives they get, but then they're engaging in retail trade. So traders are saying, wait a minute, these guys have already been cushioned with all these incentives. Why are they now playing in the same league with us? It's a problem which government needs to address. We need the investors. We have availed some incentives to them, but can they play in their league? Because you cannot come from your league based on the incentives we've given you, and now you're engaging in retail, scrambling for the same pennies as the traders. It's not acceptable. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, EFRIS, electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solutions. I don't want us to attempt to do a census here, but even colleagues here that have had some entry. Yesterday, one of them was saying, I need to understand these things. So I explain it to my voters. Even here, it's a challenge. The traders are saying it is convoluted for them. And that's why they see it as double taxation, triple taxation. What is so hard about government suspending this EFRIS? Because you've given time, 2 weeks. And I don't think 2 weeks is going to be adequate time, but that's what you're proposing. What's hard about suspending it, putting it on hold for even a month? There's nothing you lose as government. So that you do engage properly with the traders, hear out their concerns, and then we find a modus operandi that works. Because you're saying in your statement, you agreed with them, but they are still on strike, not just here downtown Kampala, across the country. So what did you agree with them about? Government. We can put EFRIS to a hold, engage with the traders, come to a meeting of minds, come to a common ground, even on the modus operandi, because they're finding this modus operandi problematic. And that's why they're up in arms. They're not saying we don't want to pay taxes, but they're saying, listen to us. But are we listening? Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Patrick?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I associate myself with the submissions of my colleagues. I want to state that the problem we are discussing is actually bigger than we are seeing it. In my view, Right Honorable Speaker, the higher taxes are translating into high commodity.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, Uganda is among the several countries comprising of the East African Federation. And among the objectives was to ensure that there is what they call Common Customs Union. I have failed to get an explanation of the minister's statement. Why in Kenya the VAT is at 16? And that it is at 16. He said it is at 16. Did you really have to first wait for these people to protest to know that at least we have to get a uniform VAT rate? Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Grania Maggie.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we appreciate the ministers that sat with the traders and agreed on a few aspects that will be looked at to sort the issues of trading, Right Honorable Speaker. However, Right Honorable Speaker, there are a number of issues that were agreed upon, but they are not nationalistic. One, Right Honorable Speaker, they agreed to set up, let me call it an office that is going to help the traders in Chikubo concerning the EFRIS system. But Right Honorable Speaker, the honorable ministers need to know that we have traders all over Uganda. And so the people in Mubende, the people in Gulu, the people in Imbale also need to have these issues sorted. They need to be educated. Right Honorable Speaker, we have so many traders that are not able to write or read, but these are people who are investing a lot of money in our country in the suburbs of Uganda, let me call it.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker, these need to be guided on how to use this machine. It is not that they are not willing to comply, but they do not have the capability to operate these machines. Right, Honorable Speaker, this will mean that they have to employ someone who is literate to help them operate the machines. And you never know, it is another expense, and some of these people that they will employ will end up cheating them. Right, Honorable Speaker?
It's
The other-
an expense plus fraud.
Yes.
Because if I am not educated and I tell you put 100,000, I will add another 10, not so. And to lead to fraud. Yes.
As I conclude, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for the compliment, for the addition. But we believe that since they held this meeting in the interest of the traders, they will also listen to what we bring to their concern and consider it. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie.
Yeah, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. On the issue that we are talking about, I think people should know that the majority of those people, the low earning or the low caliber businessmen in Chikubo, they don't have anything. These are people who are trying to gamble because of unemployment. We have so many gaps. People have gone to school, but they are afraid to find anything to do, or because they have not been employed. Then the parents and friends contribute to them so that they can have something to do. They begin with 3 million, 5 million, but the taxes are so high. We need to do something about it. And we, as representative of the workers, I get concerned. Because what is happening there is a social divide. I've seen people who are Egyptians who are selling saucepans across the country on foot. They keep coming, they can even come 3 times in a month, asking you whether you want to buy those saucepans that you can pay later. We have had those people who come here and they give you things when you go to buy. Recently I went and I was moving around on a Saturday, and I went to a shop and I saw these small packets, bags. So I entered and I wanted to buy. They gave me 2 and I paid. When I asked for the receipt, the Indian grabbed what he had sold to me and he told me to go to another shop. And I asked him why he doesn't have the receipt.
Daudi, let her finish. Let's see.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we are being cheated, and we agree. Also, there is no communication. Only when the people go to a strike, that's when the ministry is concerned, run to them so that they can cool them. But for how long? These people wait when they don't understand what is happening, but you are saying, you do this, you must. If not, you are going to be penalized. I have a case of a woman who has cookies. Cookies are like biscuits. They make them in a garage, and they recently, they asked for 2 million in tax because they have moved it to several shops and the supermarkets, and they have seen them. So they had to look for the number and sent some money, 2 million, because they have not been paying. But they were paying 400 every month, but they say they are not paying. So we get so surprised when these things are happening. Right, Honorable Speaker, I also pray that you give me just 2 minutes so that I bring my other message. My mother passed on Sunday this week, and many people were praying for us as family, and the others gave contribution, financial contribution. We don't take it for granted. And others were also sending messages, encouraging messages, comforting messages, and others came physically to be with us at the time of burial on Tuesday. I cannot just keep quiet. I thank all those who reached out to us in any way, because even prayers for me, they matter. May the good Lord bless all of you richly. Thank you.
Thank you, Daudi.
Thank you, Right Honorable
Okay.
Speaker.
Daudi Kelly Emmanuel Fred.
In my view, URA is tightening the tax noose on the small tax base of the formal sector in order to meet the taxation deficiencies that they have. But we have a large informal sector that consumes services but hardly contributes to the tax basket. The unregistered businesses in agriculture, for example, I think agriculture accounts for over 80% of the informal sector. It's largely unregulated and largely untaxed. I think what needs to be done is for URA to find a way of regularizing the informal sector and therefore widening the tax base so that the informal sector also contributes fairly to the tax basket so that all Ugandans share the tax burden across board, as opposed to squeezing the little formal sector that is contributing unfairly to the tax base. I think.
Just an example, Daudi, cows, the number of cows that one has, are cows taxed? No, we are talking about increasing the tax.
Yes, part of the informal sector, right?
Yes, it's an informal sector. When you ask of how do we increase the tax base, that is, go for the cows. I have over 2,000 cows. Nobody charges me. Yes. I have over 2,000 cows. Nobody taxes. Nobody even wants to know how much I get out of it. You will come. Let's increase the tax base instead of making the traders suffer. People have cows. Enos there. Where is Enos? It has so many cows. Kelly.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for the submission that he made. He talked about the anti-competition where foreigners who come to our country come like investors and they deal in each and everything. They are the one doing manufacturing, at the same time distribution, at the same time wholesaling, at the same time retailing, even hawking. We have seen people who are going to the villages, the Chinese are going to the village to sell things that were meant for our local people. It is our sole mandate as parliament of this country to protect the local traders who are out there. If we cannot protect them, who will then protect them? Two, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm urging the URA should give uniform tax liability on import. When you go to the market, you see that people are selling the same product, but with the different prices. There is price discrimination in the market because other people are highly taxed, others are not taxed. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Kabusu Moses, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I thank the Ministry for engaging with the traders. Madam Speaker, I wanted to be diversionary. I wanted to know whether the ministers that engage the traders are aware that still the shops are closed.
They are aware.
And when they are aware, are they in charge of the problem? And my concern, Madam Speaker, is the many ministers we have that handle a problem. It is a high time they should be in charge. They should provide solutions to these people who always demonstrate and strike. I know the traders want to meet another senior person in governance, Madam Speaker. And my call is that you honorable ministers, when you saw, you took oath to provide solutions. You should be felt. When these traders started communicating that they will strike, ministers were hiding and avoiding these people. At long last, you have done so.
So they want to meet a higher person.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
I am informed they are supposed to meet the president. When? Right, tomorrow. They will meet the highest person.
Yes, Madam Speaker, that was my concern. That now, these people who went to interact with the traders, had they done so early enough, probably even the traders wouldn't have desired to meet with the president.
Thank
I have
you.
a last concern, Madam Speaker, is URA, as all members of parliament have talked about their indiscrimination. URA lacks records. The fishermen, the ones I represent, ever since the army interfered with fishing, these fishermen do not go fishing. But URA sends them demanding notes and messages asking for them money. These people have not been fishing for 2 to 3 years, but their records assume these people are in business. Ministry that regulates the department of URA must come in and ensure there are proper records and the right people are taxed. They should not send messages to people who are not working, my fishermen. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Emmanuel Fred.
Thank
Eric.
you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. We are here in this debate because of a problem, an immediate one, and trying to see how it can be resolved. But from the debate, I've realized there are so many other problems that people are going through, and particularly our business people. And I want to go back a little bit to what my brother here has said. Now, the process that is used to resolve this immediate problem. Now, the minister has presented a report of their meeting, and we can state clearly that the meeting has not resolved anything because the strike is on. As we speak, the Committee of Trade is having a meeting. I don't know now to resolve what. Since eventually these traders are supposed to meet the president tomorrow, which means
Emmanuel, the meeting between the ministers and the traders and the meeting between the Committee of Trade and the traders are two different meetings. This house is doing its oversight role. It's finding out what is the problem between the traders and the collecting body in the tax administration. So what our committee is doing on behalf of legislature. What the ministers did was executive. We do the oversight role.
Right Honorable Speaker, why I am bringing this angle to this discussion is because I am worried about the process of resolving issues. If eventually the traders think it's only after meeting the president, then they can respond and open, then there is a problem. For me, I also want to appeal to them. They also should start trusting the other systems in government. We shouldn't be waiting only for the head of state to be resolving. There are so many other things that the president has to look at, and there are so many other complaints in different sectors. So if all that has to lay before the president for them to be resolved, then there is a problem. Finally, Madam Speaker, when we talked about the traders, particularly in Congo, Uganda, and Kenya, I want to bring one example of what used to happen in the whole of West Nile. We used to have traders in Congo.
Actually, what you're talking about, the traders meeting the president, I think they're using their last bullet. Assuming they don't get what they want, what they expect of the president, what happens? Where will they go next? To God? Because we needed to resolve this thing before going to the president, because that's the last person they should really go. And I think also our people need to have trust in us. That is how we resolve the issue of KCCA. KCCA did not go to the president. the sweepers. We had to resolve, we agreed this is how it should be done. Now, if you, they have paid some. If you go now to the president and you don't get what you ought to, what you want to get, not what you ought to get, what you want to get, what happens? Will you open or not open? Emmanuel, continue.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I was giving an example of the trade between Uganda and Congo, particularly in West Nile. We used to have a time when businesses and businessmen from Congo would come and buy their products from wholesalers in West Nile. Eventually, they left the wholesalers in West Nile and they came to Kampala. And as we speak, now they are moving beyond Kampala now to Kenya or Tanzania. When you look at that trend, you realize there is an issue. There is a problem that needs to be solved. And I want to believe it will be.
Thank you.
Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, just like you allowed my colleague, Honorable Margaret, I want to take this opportunity, colleagues, to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, the deputy, and my colleagues here and every other person for standing with me when you know I lost my wife. And colleagues, if it wasn't for you, I don't know how I would have handled myself. And I'm so grateful. And I want to make one appeal. Members, I know that there are issues here that sometimes divide us, but I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud to be part of you.
Thank you.
Because at that point, you could see clearly that we are one. And we need to look at that as being more important than the issues that divide us. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Politics aside, we remain one people and one family. We are one family. We are one family, and we should be there. We should be able to help each other when, whether in times of good or bad. We can disagree here, but when we reach that door, we should be able to hug. Our disagreement can be within here, but you reach there, we forget about this. Life is too short, very short. You see, the other day we lost a clerk from nowhere. He was communicating, even come for a meeting. From nowhere, he died. Assuming he had had somebody, and then the person said it is even good that one died. So let's live a free life. Let's not have that life of hatred. Let's have that life of life is too short. Live it to the fullest. Fred.
Thank you.
Fred, Eric.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
You don't need to stand. Don't waste your
Madam
energy.
Speaker, one of the hardest things in life is walking the talk. I thank you for the walking the talk of unity. You have talked about it and you have done it. It's the hardest thing you can find in life. Thank you very much for that.
It is only you have heard say so. Yeah.
Madam Speaker, I'm sorry I might be divert like my brother Honorable was did. My Honorable Speaker, I pity the taxpayers. We, the members here, when we are voted members of parliament, there's a level we are put at. But when you look at the utterances we make outside there, it discourages the taxpayers, Madam Speaker. Taxpayers, we depict a picture as if parliament is there to misuse taxpayers' money. Instead of encouraging people to pay taxes, we are discouraging them. For example, Madam Speaker, one MP here was on a TV and said that each MP every day gets 2 million. And is an MP from here. So imagine a taxpayer.
He apologized.
Secondly, Madam Speaker, my former rep talked about the supervision. Madam Speaker, if you can go to at URSB, you can see the number of companies that are registering. And when you go to the deactivation portal of URA, you can see the number of companies that are being disregistered. Madam Speaker, it is a performance indicator in URA that you have to present that to show that you have performed. You must show the companies you have deactivated. And it's a performance indicator. When you look at the interests, the penalties, the assessments that are given to Ugandan companies, we cannot survive, Madam Speaker. Therefore, I implore the Minister of Finance to increase on the supervision of URA. Otherwise, URA is a shark that is killing Ugandans in the business waters here, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
It is not actually a shark. It is helping us in getting taxes. Only that maybe the way it is being done is not managed well. But URA is not a shark. It is one of our entities, a formation of this parliament. And when you call URA a shark, then we are equally.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, a few days ago when these traders, we are meeting the leader of opposition, raised an issue which was also captured by the minister without a specific way forward. The issue of charging them, especially the traders in garments and fabrics, charging them the 3.5 USD dollars or 38% per kilo, whatever is higher. I haven't heard from the minister what was resolved and what is the way forward in terms of the traders' concern. And lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, is to do with the Ugandans. Of course, as a shadow minister, foreign affairs, there are several Ugandans who travel abroad. But they are complaining of the way URA handles their personal luggage and the properties. People cannot come back with gifts. There is no clear criteria on how travelers can return with their donations, gifts, among others. And we need an explanation. And lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm seeing the Minister of Foreign Affairs around. There's already...
First, don't divert us there. Let's first finish on the issue of taxes. What you're saying that when people come back from abroad,
yes,
they are subjected to very high taxes. I was actually surprised one day, just my mere clothes. They told me I should pay taxes, and the taxes were more than the cost of the clothes. I was actually surprised. Eric?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to present an issue that has to do with the cost of doing business in Uganda. The cost of doing business in Uganda is a little bit difficult. And when you look at the business maturity rate, I think business mortality rate is too high. If you look at how businesses can survive, even a year, we're looking at the other issues that manage a business to survive, say water, electricity, and others. That's why we are looking at several businesses across business centers collapsing. Honourable Minister would implore you to look into a system of enabling business practitioners manage this business, because we are fighting the level of unemployment in Uganda. And the only way out is to support these people, run these businesses, and then we see how we can move on. Lower taxes, manage, let it really be regulated very well. Don't look at Kampala only, but look at other areas. These are the upcoming towns. I was even surprised to see these people in my town of Kagadi, URA, moving and closing shops. So you can imagine such a situation, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, thank you. And I remember us in the public gallery this afternoon, we have students and teachers from Bukomansimbi Secondary School, and that is Bukomansimbi District. They are represented by Honorable Ndagire Christine Ndiwalana and Honorable Nanyondo Veronica. You're most welcome, and thank you so much for coming. They are here to observe the proceedings. Honorable Nanyondo, I mean Kristen, on that
thank
note,
you.
therefore.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm so grateful to be with you, my dear people coming, and my voters. Right Honorable Speaker, concerning this issue which we are discussing today, Bukomansimbi district is the leading district of coffee farming. But we find that we are the poorest in Uganda, simply just because the farmers, they are being squeezed. The prices for coffee is too low, and okay, today at least the prices are not so low today, but the traders are gaining so much more than the farmer who is being disturbed in the gardens all the time concerning the weather. The weather is changing. We don't have irrigation systems. So we want to see the farmer being thought of, so that when the traders go down there to get coffee from the farmers, the prices are not so fluctuating all the time. The coffee is the major cash crop here in Uganda, but at times you find that the cows are at a higher price and milk, and they are not so much charged like coffee. I thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
So we should charge the price, the cow at the time of sale. Dr. Lulume.
Thank you very much.
Members, for you talked. When you talked, now when it is coming this side, you're saying motion. Yes. Let's
Right,
be
Honorable
fair to each
Speaker.
other.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I have just been having a communication with one of the traders, and I was asking the cost of implementing the EFRIS, and he said that you need an EFRIS machine, which is at 1.9, then a computer at 1.8, then you must employ somebody who operates it at a certain cost, software, then you also need internet, you need stable power supply, and so on. Therefore, it makes it difficult to implement this, and I believe that government should listen to our traders. The second thing that I wanted to bring to the attention of this House is the implementation of the Trade Licensing Act. When we are talking about trade licenses, we are not talking about here in the capital city alone. We are also talking about our small towns in rural constituencies. The implementation of the Trading Licensing Act usually does not discriminate whether you are in a municipality or you are in a city or you are in a small town like in Kokonjeru, where our in-law Haruna knows. So when the URA comes and engages, they simply put charges to the various businesses, regardless of whether they have found them in the rural towns such as in Kokonjeru or they are in the city, and therefore it makes business very difficult, especially for rural businessmen. I want to implore
Alan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Madam Speaker, unfortunately, I can't see the minister because when you read the statement, he said that it was agreed.
The ministers are all here.
But what is reporting is not sincere. The minister, what is reporting?
Did you attend the meeting?
Madam Speaker, let me finish this. In the morning, I have talked to Mr. Isa Sechito, the spokesperson for Kasita. He said even he left the meeting before it was concluded. But according to the statement, the minister is sanitizing the situation. That's the problem with these ministers. They sanitize the condition. Because even right now, what is reporting said that we agreed. But it's not necessarily speaking that they failed to agree on these matters. The traders, they are saying that fees should be stopped for some time so that the ministry rearrange itself. And secondly, the traders are saying ministry should stop charging taxes in kilograms on garments and textile. But the ministry, what is reporting, saying that they are.
What law did you make?
Madam Speaker.
I'm just asking, what did the law say, the one you made?
Madam Speaker, that is the ability of this House to consider what the traders are facing, what they are passing through, or the harassment when they are charging these
You know, there's a difference between making a law and tax administration. So that's why I was asking, what did you agree in this House? Are they doing exactly what was agreed in this House?
So, Madam Speaker, what I'm reporting is from the traders. It is upon.
If these traders thought it wise to meet you as a solution, then they should have only met you, other than reporting that what they discussed with the minister was not, what the minister is reporting is not correct. That is unfair to our colleagues.
Speaker, thank you for the guidance, but what I'm
because
about.
It is this House that sent those ministers to meet the traders.
Madam Speaker, it could have been fair if the minister stated it in the statement that we didn't agree.
We shall
That's
hear
what
from
we
the
wanted.
minister. Correct?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we agree that we have multiple taxes in Uganda, but for me, I want to propose other sources of revenue in line of increasing on our tax base. Right Honorable Speaker, from the payroll of government, we realize that government is staffed up to an average level of 56%. So when you look at the staffing gap, if we filled all those positions, the youth would get employed and they will pay taxes in form of pay. So let us fill the staffing gaps in the positions of government that are not staffed. Right Honorable Speaker, too, is the NTR, the non-tax revenue from all the agencies of government. Right Honorable Speaker, before government seeks for the public to pay tax, government should put in effort to collect the taxes within these ministries and agencies too. Ministries, departments, and agencies of government should pay taxes. Right Honorable Speaker, it is on record that the Ministry of Finance is the highest default of taxes. So it's unfair of government to go down looking for taxes when they are failed to pay. So if I was URA, I would get padlocks and close the Ministry of Finance so that we can increase on the revenues of this country. Right Honorable Speaker, 3 are the exemptions on taxes. Right Honorable Speaker, gold is tax exempt. It had an estimate of over 451 billion. We only got 47 billion. So I really implore Uganda Revenue Authority to stop exempting areas where government can get money. The big wings don't pay taxes. We found out that most of the big hotels in this country don't pay taxes. So Right Honorable Speaker, it is prudent that we ensure that all people who are meant to pay taxes pay. Lastly, taxes, one of the principles of taxation is benefit and the capacity to pay. Right Honorable Speaker, we should look at the line of service delivery. Ugandans will pay taxes as long as we.
Thank you. The big wings, including you, because you are the big wings of this country.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I propose that we should go back to the drawing board about this new system of taxation. For example, they left out the main stakeholders. These are the traders, and they had to be trained, whereby they had to prepare themselves because this tax is laborious and it also needs some gadgets like computers. 2, This tax is not going to work only in Kampala, it's going to work across the country, whereby we need to work on the infrastructure like the internet and electricity. 3, these traders need time to make sure that all the items in the supermarkets are included in the system. So you can find one supermarket having 800 items in one supermarket. So all these items must be included in the system. So they need time. And lastly, I want to talk about the penalties are very expensive. People are not trained, but for example, they can tell you that if you default, you're going to pay 300 currency.
Jawan.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the Minister for this report, but also I want to request that we implore the Minister to produce a comprehensive report on all taxation processes, on all the taxes that we're having as a country. Because as we all know previously, there have been very many tax proposals, including land tax, where a buyer is supposed also to pay 10%, and also the seller is supposed to pay 10%. All this is not being brought on board. So if we would have a comprehensive report so that the issue of taxes is debated and concluded at once. Look at the property tax. Many of the schools are suffering. The more buildings you have, the more taxes you're paying. So how do we come as a house to ensure that we help our people who are helping the country to produce future leaders? We also have a proposal on building taxes. All these taxes are underway by the ministers to bring them into work. You realize that even on the building tax, we have grass-thatched houses have been proposed to be paying 30,000 per year. All these taxes, to me, I feel, should be able to come on the floor so that we debate them as a whole, other than having piecemeal debates on one activity. And Madam Speaker, allow me bring an example from where I represent.
Honorable Minister for RAPEX, we are going to your item now. We are going to your item. We need a justification from you. A brief justification. So don't go very far.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
And I am told there is some demobilization because they don't want to have quorum. We shall have quorum. This business of demobilizing that people should not come. We shall have the members. I have them.
Thank you. I was requesting to bring an example of where I represent. To me, I think the tax base is already good enough, but the collection of these taxes is where we are having a challenge. Look at where I come from. I landed on 3 different people. And for the last 3 years, these 3 people have been paying that taxes every year, every month. When I looked into the revenue portal, when I went there and tried to get the details, I realized that in the system, these 3 people, one has only paid for 4 months in the last 3 years. The other has paid for 3 months in the last 3 years. And when you ask them where they have been paying, they have the receipts for all the 3 years. When you ask them where they've been paying, they tell you, we have been paying to so and so within the city council. So I think the disease of corruption is what we need to first see how we wipe out. Let many of these individuals be put into book to ensure, let at least one act as an example in the country, so that we ensure that this money we are collecting gets into our system. Soroti alone has a capability of collecting more than 15 billion in a year. But at the moment, as we speak, we are only collecting 1 billion. As a whole city, we were collecting more when we were a municipal council than even when we are a city council now.
What happens? Some of these officers go and tell them that instead of you paying the 2 or something, you just give me this, and they give a receipt. And that is a very serious matter. That's a very serious matter. Sarochi West.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, just like someone observed here, I am very disturbed when the issues that should be handled by the ministers, we want such issues to be handled by the president.
Mary, you're going to speak next.
The president should be handling strategic matters of the country. This issue of negotiating with the traders should solely be the Minister of Finance. And if we cannot handle the issue and sort out with the traders, then the best would be for you to resign and then leave. Because we are not going everything the president think of strategic issues of the country. Now you want to kill the president with the pressure. Because if you are the minister, there are 4 or 3 ministers in the ministry, and you cannot handle this issue. So why are you ministers?
Please, whoever is out, we come in. We need you in.
Now, there is a matter I'm coming to. Madam Speaker, this country collects a lot of money. We have money. We would even survive without donor funding. We would even survive without loans. We collect a lot of money. But Madam Speaker, what pains me in most cases, the poor people collect money, and then we go and give money to the rich companies and the rich people in terms of bailouts. Madam Speaker, not long ago, we collected money from the poor people in Chikubo, in Soroti, in Kagadi, and then go and bail out Roofings Limited with the 200 billion. The poor people collect money, and then we go and pay Rocco 200 billion. The poor people collect money from Nakasero, and then we go and pay Simba 200 billion. Madam Speaker, not long ago, this government used money, 26 billion, to give Abubakar and then something services. Madam Speaker, not long ago, this government gave money to a private company, a private pharmacy in Tungamo. And then the poor people are suffering in Chikubo. The ministers cannot go and help them. Madam Speaker, let me ask this question. No. Let me ask this question, then I come for information. What criteria does the Ministry of Finance or government use to bail out particular people in Uganda or companies, yet the poor people are suffering? Madam Speaker, I would request this parliament to task the Ministry of Finance to bring a list here of the people that we have paid money with our taxpayers' money in terms of grants and loans. I am aware Basaja Balaba has not paid money to government up to now. He took money and has not paid. I am aware the number of companies.
Which money did Basaja Balaba take?
He was given a bailout in his hides and skin company.
You know,
up to now he has not paid.
You know, we don't speak about people who are not in the house.
I am talking about a company, Madam Speaker. And that these companies can be traced. And this money was paid. This is government money, taxpayers' money. That's why I'm asking, Madam Speaker. Even as we are continuing.
Matter.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Now, those are the companies.
Yes, these are the. Madam Speaker, I'm wondering whether my honorable colleague is proceeding right, because he knows very well that all the monies he's talking about, all incentives or tax exemptions, are approved by this parliament. So is he or is he proceeding right to keep referring to unknown people without mentioning who actually gives out money, well knowing that it's actually this parliament that approves this money and it goes to wherever it goes?
Honorable members, the monies that some of the monies that is being talked about is given under 3%. It comes for a retrospective approval. It comes for retrospective approval. So we can't say that we approve it as parliament, we do retrospective approval. But what is important, I don't mind people being bailed out, local people being bailed out. When I hear Abubakar, I don't know who he is, but I don't mind him being bailed out. But we only need to define the criteria of who should be bailed out and what benefit is it going to give to this country, that the impact that it will have to the country, how many people are they going to employ, how much taxes are they going to collect once they are bailed out and in business. I mean, a bailout as a country, that's the only way you can sustain your people. But there are people who should not really.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I am if you're going to pay so and so, are you going to pay even the other person, not particular people? What we are asking is a criteria. I want to thank you. My brother Enos, you're driving a duty-free car.
You're not,
And
excuse me. Don't address Enos. If you also want to drive a duty-free car, you'll do it. Please. Please, 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 please. Let's not go personal. Let's not go personal.
in conclusion, Madam Speaker, we are talking about empowering the local people. I have seen our roads being made by Chinese. Our roads are being made by the Arabs. Yet we have Makerere University producing well-qualified engineers. We have engineers in this country, but Madam Speaker, I would want to know how does government come and award contracts to these foreign companies, to the Chinese and the Arabs, yet we have our local companies here in the country. This is how we would plow back the money into our economy.
Honorable,
yes.
You see now the contradiction we are having. When the local company called the engineering brigade comes, you complain. When Abu Bakr comes, who is a local company, Chinese.
Madam Speaker, I am not contradicting at all. What I am saying is, if we are going to give money to the local people, it must be uniform. Let there be a clear criteria, not at the wisdom of the minister. It must be known. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you, Elijah. Two minutes. No.
Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I think let us focus ourselves to address the matter. How we could be able to get out the traders back to work such that we're able to collect more revenue. But like they say, since biblical days, it's been very difficult to pay taxes. But we have to live with it and ensure that we pay taxes. Honourable Speaker, let me ask, I will ask the minister to clarify. When I was watching the news yesterday at 9, NBS TV and NTV, it contradicts what the taxpayers were saying. They are saying they are not agreeing. They did not agree. But today we have this statement that you agreed. Can you clarify who is telling the truth? To Right Honourable Speaker, I think people need to understand, because I've seen people mixing e-invoicing, e-receipting as tax. It's not a tax. It's an administrative system of collecting taxes. So we must be able to know the difference and who qualifies and who does not qualify. That's why I agree with the taxpayers that a lot of sensitization needs to be done, such to enable them understand how this can be done. Madam Speaker, I was part of the team when VAT was introduced. It was not an easy thing, but it was slowly educating and encouraging the taxpayers to understand. And that way, they embraced VAT. So the same should apply to this system. Let us not use, because the financial year is coming to an end, because you want money, you needs to meet the target. Please, let us sensitize our local traders to understand how they should be able to do this. And I also agree with them on the issue of raising the threshold, the VAT threshold, because it's a long time since we set the threshold, We started with 50 million, went to 150 million. I think it's a high time because the value has deteriorated. We should be able also to raise it such that we are able to know who are those who should qualify for the e-receipting and invoicing. That way, we would have been able to solve some of these problems that we are seeing today. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Sireko here has been year in, year out talking about the taxing of the 3% or the 35% on the fabrics. And I thought the Minister of Trade, Finance has taken it seriously. There is an anomaly in the taxation on the fabrics, and which must be addressed. Thank you, Right Honorable.
Thank you, Masava. Luther.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. One, it concerns one of the key issues that the Minister talked about concerning enforcement. That is, I think, the biggest challenge as to why the traders have come out to demonstrate. You'll find that someone carrying a box from Chikubo, they will harass them and confiscate the box and ask them for a receipt. Yet when you go maybe to a supermarket, because it's optional for you to either go with your receipt or not. By law, you cannot force me as a seller, as a final consumer, to have a receipt, so I can decide to have it or not. So I think that is wrong. URA should stop the way they're implementing, the way they're enforcing, harassing people. Let them target the goods that are coming into Chikubo. Perhaps that will help solve some of these issues because they can track the commodities, these vehicles that bring in goods. Then they can compute the input VAT and they can determine how much these people have sold. So I think this should be handled. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, the former law raised an issue that I think we need to take very seriously. We have statutory deadlines as to when we are making budgets. And one of the key things that determine our budget.
I'm joking.
Right Honorable Speaker, one of the key issues that we use while determining the budget is the revenues. And 2 weeks from now, we'll have processed and finished the tax bills as the Finance Committee. So it will be very hard. It will be very hard to come back to it. So I beg with your indulgence that we do handle this issue simultaneously, the revision of the amendment to this.
But we don't do revision in the House before we are given a bill.
Right, Honorable
We need
Speaker.
a proposal.
Right, Honorable Speaker, we are dealing with the income tax and there are clauses that we are amending. And when you look at CAP.
Now that is against the rule. You don't come and discuss what is before the committee. It is not yet in the House.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the point I was raising is we are already dealing with a bill, and this is part of the clause that we can look at as a committee. So I'm not debating about it, but I'm proposing that we can deal with it since we are handling this same law. So,
but we have not stopped you from looking at it.
Yes,
look at it and report to us.
The minister had requested for 2 weeks to go and consult. That is what I was proposing, because next week you expect us to present this.
I am waiting to hear from the chairman because I've given you a deadline. Now, I'm not sure whether you're reporting as the chair of the committee, member of the committee, a business person, a shadow, or whichever.
Lastly, it concerns the system, the IFRIS. Right, Honorable Speaker, IFRIS as a system, it does have its own challenges, and we've tried to raise several concerns. Unfortunately, many of them have not been picked up. For example.
Let's have a minute, please. So that we pass at least 2 bills.
Yes, Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm concluding in a minute. For example, this system cannot capture me selling a good at a loss. We have many of our traders who resort to selling some of these commodities, probably because it's going to go bad. Probably this trader needs money to go and clear a loan somewhere, but URA will want you to declare a profit. Once you try to input that you're selling it below the cost price, they will not allow, and they will want you to sell, to input in a system a price that you're not receiving. And in the end, they will want VAT on that. They will come, they will assess your. Thank you very much, Right Honorable.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Way forward. Every new tax policy in any government is sensitized to the population gradually, which is not happening in our country. they usually use what we call the SWOT analysis. We look at the strengths of the tax, the weakness of the tax, the opportunity of the tax, and then the threats. But in our country, Uganda, things are totally different because we are in an abnormal situation. That's why we are having abnormal taxes, since the situation is totally.
Which taxes are abnormal?
Right, Honorable Speaker,
you mean this house is abnormal?
No, Right Honorable Speaker.
You passed those laws. You passed the taxes. What is a problem is the administration of the taxes. You must differentiate between legislation plus collection. That is administration.
Yes, that's why, Right Honorable Speaker, I was advocating for the gradual sensitization of traders. Uganda is not ending today, neither is it going to shift. So we should give these traders time such that we sensitize them. By the time they come to understand the e-policy, they may be compliant. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Uganda is not ending today. Tulina ebipemo biwa obudde lwakuba ne speaker wa kuno naye ye talowooza ku bantu, ye alowoozaako ekyateeka mu nsawo nti bwe tunaabiwa obudde nja kulula ssente zenziba, ogenda okuzimba amaka matiribona, ogenda okuzimba eddwaliro, ogenda okugulirira mpuuga, ogenda okugulirira gundi. Kati ye alowoolezamu context, talowooza mu nnansi naawo omusolo embonabona gy'abonaabonamu. Kyovula ensonga ezimu talakuona baba namubibe byonna mubiremeze ozigenda kugiza mu nnansi n'ememba ana ojja kukwatibwa yamujabire one day you will pay what you stole from the poor. Bijja kubadya baagala nnyo mwenna abaliko ambeera yabasobozi kwekalakasa leeta omire okukwatira wamu abola okunatereza eggwanga lyaffe. Omukama bakumire wera.